Hello, it's Amy here on a very hot July day, and I tried to do a couple lives yesterday, and my heart wasn't in it, and I kept having trouble. StreamYard is just giving, not just me, but I've noticed a lot of people, massive streaming issues. It's not my internet, it's something else that's going on, and I've noticed it watching other people's StreamYards. There's a lot of blacking out and just bad whatever streaming. What's the point of having a streaming alive when it doesn't work? And as I was making the point yesterday, anyway, I just got disheartened and I stopped, and then I tried again and I stopped again, and just like, forget it. I'll do it here. I know people don't particularly like it when I do to the wall. Here's my dear Hemi who died a few years ago. Anyway, people don't really like it when I'm not on camera, but honestly, I'm not super confident on camera, and I think that affects me. And also, it just works better when I do these off camera, just filming like this. So, gotta use what works. I was kind of mad at myself because after I did the live, and both lives, and they failed, and I just felt really disheartened. And I thought, I wasted time because I could have been writing, and I'm really torn on that. I really love writing, want to be a writer. You have to put, every day you have to have a certain mentality, energy, time period where you write. And if you don't do that and you use that creative energy on something else like this, you kind of lose it. It's hard. It's hard for me to negotiate what to spend my time on. But I like to do these because I do get messages, and I am part of the psychic community, and we're all together. Even though we're all separate, we're all together, and I feel like I can't help but relay information, intuitive information. We're all in this battle together to help each other understand what's going on, and so I feel compelled to do it, so here I am. As not a competition, that's for sure. It's more like I can't not relay the information, so here I am. Now, one thing I was trying to say yesterday, and I want to know if other people went through this, because I'm really curious about this. So, with the CERN thing shut down, they said that it'll mess up time. Like, we'll either feel like time slows down or time speeds up. Now, I've noticed timeline differences happening, but it was not yesterday, but the day before. So what would that be? Tuesday, I woke up and I thought, here we go, the last day of June. I love June. Goodbye, June. I'm sorry to see you go. And July's always hot, and there's mosquitoes, yada, yada. But last day of June. And then I see it says July 1st. Oh, what? Okay, it's July 1st already. I see again, July 1st. All day, I keep seeing July 1st. And I even write in my journal, wow, it's already July. I thought we still had a day of June. Go to bed, wake up, it's July 1st again. Very strange. I had several little things like that, and you could say, oh, well, it's just crazy, Amy. You were wrong. Well, of course I was wrong, but at the same time, I don't know. And I will tell you what, on Tuesday night, when I thought it was July 1st, I did a draft video for TikTok that I didn't post, and I made it around 9:30 at night. 9:30 at night. So technically that would have been the last day of June at 9:30 at night, Central Standard Time. So I go to bed and I wake up the next morning, find out it's actually Wednesday's July 1st. What? And I think, okay, I must be crazy. I don't know what's going on. I open up TikTok later and it saved my draft, and it said it saved it July 1st, which I saved it the night before. Now, the other ones say that they were saved on the dates that I saved them. There's one from like June 14th and stuff I never posted. Anyway, point being, I have a document that shows that I wasn't lying about things saying July 1st. Now, maybe it's not a timeline thing. Maybe it was a phone thing. Maybe it was an internet thing. And I'm really curious if other people experienced it too, or if it's just me. I mean, I do think that there's timeline overlapping. I talked about how I saw, a few years ago, I saw a red car that had been crashed. A tow truck was picking it up. Tow truck picks it away. It's a very specific car. Then a few minutes later, that exact red sports car, very unique looking sports car, is in perfect, not wrecked, nothing, comes up to the stop and stops and then drives off. Like, that's weird. So I thought of that yesterday as I was walking through the park, and a few minutes later, that exact sports car showed up. Now we're talking this years later, years after the other thing happened. So I do think that, I don't know, there's something weird going on, and maybe it is CERN. Maybe, who knows? Will that help us? Will that hurt us? I don't know. But it's not supposed to turn back on until 2030. So all I can say is, if, things are pretty bad. Yes, things can always get worse, but they can always get better. And if it helps us, if it helps reset us back to a better world where things aren't insane, then I'm all for it. So let's just see what happens. But I want to know if other people have had these weird timeline glitches. Okay, politics. Let's talk about politics here. So, you know what, the algae pool, and all those things going on. You notice how it sort of distracted us from the Ep files and the war with the country that starts with IRA, You notice how that it distracted us? I said from the very beginning, and I'm really glad to hear other people saying this, the minute that I read about that algae pool, I was like, well, that was his fault, because he stripped out the sealant. Remember when he made a post and he showed pictures and he said, look at all the trash. Look at all the Democrat trash that we pulled out of the nasty reflection pool from Joe Biden. Look at Democrat trash. And I was like, idiot, that's what's going to keep the water healthy and keep, it from leaking everywhere and yada, yada, yada. It keeps it sealed. And so sure enough, first they drive over the wet paint, then they fill it with, the water from the Potomac River, and then they've taken out the sealant and whatever, all that stuff. And it turns into algae. Well, he took out literally everything that was there before to protect it. And so, of course, it was him. And I think he knows. That it's all his fault, but he just won't admit it. And he likes to blame other people. He likes to blame Democrats and Joe Biden and all that. However, and also the other thing, the very second that I read the story and saw the picture of the 86 7 thing on the lawn outside the White House, Capitol building, whatever, I was like, oh, he did that. He had his people do that. Because there's no way you wouldn't have seen some random people, whoever, in the middle of the night stomping out those huge numbers. It would be on security. It would have been, drones would have picked it up, helicopters, people, security would have seen it, and they would have video evidence. They have none. Why? Because they did it. Because he had his people do it. He had his crazy ass people do it to make Democrats look bad. And okay, so all that, and that all distracted, the whole thing with the algae pool, the reflection pool, has distracted us from what's really happening, which is he's messed up this war with Iran, and he messed up in Versailles and signed those papers in Versailles at the G7, and he's sick and all these things, and it was a huge distraction. And that also makes me think, well, then maybe he's the one that put the algae in there too on purpose. Maybe he had them drive over the paint on purpose. Maybe he is destroying everything on purpose and likes to blame others, but maybe he literally is doing it all on purpose. You see what I'm saying? He knew the driving over wet paint would ruin it. He knew pulling out the sealant would ruin it. He knew that everything, and then the big cage match with the big stage and ruin the grass and all this stuff. He knows that it's ruining and destroying the White House. And it's like this huge destruction zone. Not a construction zone, it's a destruction zone. Then you think of the East Wing. It was destroyed. He destroyed it. Then you think of how he wants to tear down, he took down the Rose Garden, destroyed. Then he wants to tear down all the cherry trees for a golf course for the gods. You think he would just leave them there. But no, he wants them destroyed. It's almost like he's doing it on purpose, folks. It really feels like that. He's doing it on purpose. What do you think? I personally think that's what's going on. I I read it this morning and I just got this hit, like a psychic hit. He's doing it on purpose. And then I thought, well, didn't Putin from the country with R, didn't he want him to do that? Uh, 9/11 would have destroyed less. This is, I mean, the East Wing itself was like an act of 9/11, in my opinion. I really think he's doing it on purpose. I really think he had those cars drive over the wet paint and the reflection pool on purpose to destroy it. I really do. I'll upload this here because it takes a while to upload, and I'll go on to the next section of this.